Welcome back. Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Lila Jean-Francois, also known by her artist name, Silent St. J. In this episode, we cover inspiration, lack of motivation, what happens when you hit a slump, and whether or not humans can relate to AI. If you've ever had trouble processing your emotions, been scared to embrace them, or just love listening to music that'll get you right in the feels, you're going to love this episode. Speaking of getting punched in the feels, we're going to wrap this episode up with a brand new untitled track by Lila. Welcome back to another episode of Creative Conversations. Today I am talking to Lila, who goes by Silent St. J as her artist name. At the end of this episode, we will get to hear some of her music, so stay tuned for that. And now, let's get talking about creative things.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. For those listening, I got to listen to Lila's music when my friend threw a little private show for his 30th birthday. And we got kind of blessed with this super magical, surreal moment where the show was in a penthouse building and it was snowing behind us.
Yeah.
I guess you were probably facing the crowd, so you didn't see the snow as much.
I did not see the snow until I left the building. But yeah, it was a really magical show. I think for everyone in that room.
Yeah. And his mom just had the perfect lighting. It was super ambient and pretty.
Yeah, it was just very surreal because I don't know, as a musician, I play your standard venue, and then to have that little pocket, this, it's not weird, but this very beautiful space of someone's home, and I don't know, there's something very intimate about that. Well, obviously.
Very much so, I guess. Yeah, because you're used to playing in restaurants or
exactly.
clubs, bars kind of thing, right?
Oh, never a club.
I guess your music isn't really club style music, but
yeah, it was really beautiful. It was really beautiful, and the snow behind. I didn't get to see much of it, but it was a very cold evening. But the space was warm, the people were warm. And I guess the music was warm as well.
Also, there was this stacked raspberry cake dessert thing that his mom made that was just absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah. The foods were great as well. I was lucky enough to have some.
So that night you had told me that you were working on an album and you've recently finished it, right? So Can you tell us what the name of your album is and tell us a little bit about it?
So, I've been working on this album for, I think, about 2 years now. It started off as me recording a single, and then I got a lucky opportunity to be able to record a full album.
Did you already have the songs for the whole album written?
Yes and no. I think it was accidentally. I had a pocket of songs these songs that I'd be singing at my shows and whatnot, but I hadn't really put them together. And when I wanted to make an album, and in my head, I wasn't sure what that would consist of, until I had this opportunity to create a full album. And the album itself is called Alexithymia, which one of the tracks on the album is called Alexithymia as well. That's the title.
Alexithymia. What is that?
Have you heard of it before?
No.
Cool. I usually, when I play this song at shows and whatnot, I ask people before I play it, I'm like, have you heard of the word Alexithymia?
I feel I remember you mentioning. Did you play that song?
I think
I
might have. I might have.
I feel I remember you mentioning that word, but I can't for the life of me think of what that word means.
Well, alexithymia is a word meaning the inability to process or identify your emotions.
Okay, now because we talked about emotions as inspiration.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
And it's funny because I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know there was a name for something like that.
It was named after a very cold Alexa.
Yeah, someone broke someone's heart, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, I found out about this word and I was like, that's a thing. That's a thing I do. And it's funny because like I wrote this song called Alexithymia, and the album kind of came after the song, but the song was like very much based on um, my wanting to feel things. Not that I can't feel things, but I feel like there's a lot of, at least for me, I feel like I don't let myself feel things often.
I think
And
that's true for a lot of people.
right? Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stigma towards feeling anything other than happy. I think everyone's just like,
Yes.
"Oh, you're angry or you're sad. Don't do that." And I don't think that's what we should be doing
No,
as
it's
human.
super unhealthy.
Yeah,
Repressing anything, like any time a human being represses their emotions, history has shown us that that is a very bad thing.
exactly, right? And yeah, I just kind of wrote this song about like being able to feel my feelings and wanting to feel my feelings. And um then after when I was putting like or trying to figure out what songs to put in this album, I realized all these songs that I've written are very much about how I want to feel things, or like they're very introspective of how I I'm feeling. And
So it's one of the only ways you can express your emotions.
exactly. It's funny cuz like I don't I don't write a lot of like love songs. I think I have like one love song that I've ever written.
Is it
Actually,
actually for a person or is it like for
no.
yourself?
It's not even like a lot of the love songs or songs about love that I've written probably honestly 3 love songs, and 2 of those I wrote because I had to. Not because I had to, but like it was kind of like
The label optioned it. I didn't
yeah.
have a choice.
Exactly, didn't have a choice. They forced me.
Wrote it in the tour bus in 2 hours.
No, but it was like just kind of like a project that I was given a project to write a love song, and I was like, sure, I guess so.
Okay, it's like a writing exercise
Yeah,
sort of thing.
exactly. And I remember like when I first started writing songs and first started sharing songs, that song that was it was a song that I like people loved that song when I would play it and stuff. And I didn't hate the song. I'm not gonna say that I hate it, but it was never something that really resonated with me. Um, but any like the closest thing that I have to a love song now, which I wrote actually the closest thing that I have to a love song, I wrote probably a year ago, and I think it was the last song I wrote.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's funny because like I'm thinking back on the song, and I've been thinking about that song for like a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I wrote this song as like this love song, but if you like listen to the lyrics, it's very much
it's like actually about your love of Cheetos.
it's actually about the love of chicken wings that I have.
Chicken wings. Oh
Oh,
man. Okay, I need to listen to that song. You'll get 100 plays of it from me tonight.
sweet. It's not out.
Damn it. Your
But
loss, I guess.
yeah, I know, man. But like, it's funny because like I thought it was kind of like this song that I wrote externally, like as my feelings, um, like how I don't know how to like put it, but I felt like it was when I wrote the song, it was very an external, like giving kind of song.
Okay.
But now that I think about it, I'm like, I think I just wrote another song about myself. Like I didn't mean to, but like I think it was like one of those songs where I was like it's funny because I thought when I wrote the song, I was like, I think this is a song like the first time I've written a song about that's not about myself and for someone else. But then I realized really quickly, I was like, oh no, this is just another song about how I feel and like how I feel about myself. I don't know. I feel like I'm a selfish musician or something like that.
I think that's like you need to have pieces of yourself in your music, and I think most musicians like especially in the last couple years as I've been going through a journey of like self-discovery and self-love,
Mhm.
I've started to hear a lot of love songs as being more of like a musician singing to themselves than singing to another
Oh,
person.
interesting.
And like, I don't know if that's just my brain doing it or if like more people do that kind of thing than I originally kind of thought or whatnot. But I've also noticed like love songs written to, there's one which is either about a guy's car or his cat. I've attributed it to my cat because literally I was on the deck last summer and I was listening to this album by Revolution, and they're kind of like a reggaeton band, I guess.
Okay.
And the lyric was, "Today is gonna be a good day. No other beauty can purr like her." And right as he was saying, "No other beauty can purr like her," my cat walked out onto the deck and brushed up against my leg, and I was like, "This song is definitely about a cat."
You're like, I got it. I figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe that's true. Like
I need to ask
maybe
more musicians that I talk to.
I should ask more musicians. I should
We
ask.
should both,
Yeah.
because we interact with musicians.
Exactly. But yeah, I feel like maybe more love songs are about like people loving themselves rather than others. Actually, maybe it's like in order to love someone else, you have to love
I mean,
yourself.
that is a
And-
very serious and true thing.
Yes, that's what people say.
What people say. So you haven't gotten there yet,
I
is
don't-
what I'm hearing.
I will admit I haven't figured that one out yet. But so I've heard.
Maybe it'll be the theme of your next album.
Maybe I will go from trying to figure out my feelings to it just seems like more of myself. It's just more of me talking about myself, which I mean, like,
In
that's
some
fine.
ways, I think there's a refreshing honesty to that because people can only ever experience the world from their perspective. So if you're trying to sing about how other people should think or feel, then there's maybe a little bit of like, who are you to say how I should think or feel? Whereas like
true.
if you're just conveying like, this is how I feel, this is how these things made me feel, other people can hear those words and think like, that's also how I feel about these things. And
Yeah.
that's where the connection comes.
I feel like that happens a lot with my music. Is often people are like, "Whoa!" Like specifically for
How did
like,
you know exactly how I felt?
yeah, like that happens often. And then I'm very shocked by it too. I'm like, "Whoa!" Other humans, but also I'm very much an introvert, so like my human connection is very limited. But like, yeah, I think my music tends to it tends to like bring in or like attract a certain demographic of people who like end up feeling the same way that I feel, which are the introverts.
Introverts.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, there's other introverts, and I'm like, of course there are other introverts.
So many other introverts. You
Yeah,
just don't see them because
because
they're
they're
at
all
home.
inside. Yeah.
Very much so. I tend to switch between introverted and extroverted between winter months and summer months.
Really?
Like I'm like right on that line, and then when it gets dark out at 4:00, like seasonal affective hits me
Okay.
hard, and I become introverted for the winter.
I think that's
Also, probably a lot of people.
feel like that's a lot of people, but like I don't know, I was talking, oh my gosh, sorry, this just randomly came into my head. Um uh oh my gosh, it randomly left. But yes, so the idea of people being introverted and extroverted. Okay, it actually came back. Okay, so my cousin posted on her Instagram this story about hamsters. I don't know, have you heard about hamsters? Have you heard about hamsters?
I mean,
Okay.
as much as anyone has heard about hams, I used to watch Hamtaro when I was a kid.
Okay. So this is the thing they left out of Hamtaro, okay?
Okay.
So did you know that hamsters actually hibernate?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so a lot of people did not know that.
Okay.
But during the winter months, hamsters tend to hibernate, which means like physiologically they'll like kind of go into this deep sleep. So they'll like lower their heart rate.
Power saving mode.
They're literally in power saving mode. And from like an outsider's perspective, aka your mom or your dad or like the child, the hamster will look dead.
Are you telling me that there are a lot of people that have accidentally thrown out a perfectly alive hibernating hamster?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
sad.
there was a podcast that was talking about this hamster thing and the idea of like people having thrown away their
Check the
hamsters.
best before dates before you throw it out.
Yeah, but like, and this happens in the winter months. So like this podcast, they were like going off and they were like, "Oh my gosh, my hamster died around winter too," but it was just hibernating.
Died around winter because you threw it in the
'Cause
garbage.
yeah, or they like buried this hamster alive or something like that.
Oh, those poor hamsters.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that so sad?
Oh my god.
I'm gonna round this out. Okay, bring this back. So there's a point. So my cousin like shared that on her Instagram, and she brought up this point of like, as a human, and in the winter months, how she goes into her own like hibernation mode, and I really like resonated with what she said. But she was like, I hope that people wouldn't discard of me because I'm in my own hibernation mode. And I was like, whoa, that's very like I don't know, that just resonated with me because like as an introvert, I'm like very much in hibernation mode.
It hits pretty powerfully because there's a lot of people. I actually, last year, I read an article too about the importance of like wintering as a person and how a lot of society's pressure to like keep hustling through the winter is extremely
Yeah.
detrimental to mental health because people are just naturally not supposed to like do as much in the winter.
Yeah. And like I feel like yeah, definitely during the winter and especially like me, I'm already very much introverted and very much I keep to myself. But I feel like I hope people like my friends and like the people that I have around me wouldn't just kind of like discard of me or like forget about me just because I'm in my own personal hibernation mode in the winter months. Like I'm introverting extra hard right now. And I hope they wouldn't like be like, "Oh, well, she's not my friend anymore. That's too bad." And then like I've lost all my friends. This is me like over
What goes on in
yeah,
your head? I
exactly.
mean, I resonate with that because I've had similar things run through my head too, and like I feel like a lot of people have probably had that experience, right? Especially
Yeah.
as we get older, people get busier with partners, with
Yeah.
family, with like the older you get, the more a lot of people start to recognize like they didn't enjoy spending time with their family when they were younger, but now they want to have dinner with their family every weekend kind of
Yeah.
thing, right? And like if they're having dinner with their family every weekend, that's one less day in the week for them to hang out with their friends.
Yep.
And then they're also working 7 days a week or 5 days a week, probably not 7 days a week, but some of them
Some
are.
of them
One of
are.
my best friends has been working like pretty much since July, like 6 to 7 days a week, and I have hardly seen him since.
Oh man, that's a lot of work.
It
That's
is.
whoa.
None of our
Kudos.
other friends have really seen him either, so it's basically just his girlfriend and his cat that know he's alive.
Oh. No. Oh no. Well, I hope you're checking in on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We texted a little bit yesterday.
There you go.
But yeah, he's been super busy. He looks exhausted. He needs to hibernate for a little bit.
He needs a forced hibernation, maybe?
Yeah. But he's one of those people that's naturally an extrovert all the time, so he's
Oh,
like
okay.
high energy, go go go. And if
Okay.
he's not, then you know he's definitely overworked
Okay.
because like dude is usually the life of the party.
Okay. Okay. I could never.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
honestly I think a lot of my energy in our last 10 years has come from him. Like when we go do stuff, I definitely siphon some of it off.
Yeah, do you feel like you like mirror or like you kind of match when you hang out with this person? Do you tend to like you're matching or you're attempting to match their energy?
Very much so. I wouldn't really say it's attempting, but I do consider myself an incredibly empathic person. So I
Okay.
will mirror emotions of the people around me if
Okay.
I'm around them for an extended period of time.
Yep.
Which can be super detrimental in unhealthy relationships because then you just end
Yeah.
up in a downward spiral.
Yeah. Yeah. I tend to I use the word attempt because I very much attempt to do so. And like I'll try to match and it doesn't matter who I interact with. Like anyone I will interact with, I'm going to like like camouflage into what energy they're giving off.
So are you currently camouflaging as my energy?
I don't know. I was just trying to figure it out. I was like,
because you seem more energetic than me.
Oh, maybe I'm what's the word? I don't know the word. I don't know.
Describe it. What is the process you're thinking of?
Maybe I'm like overdoing it. I don't know why maybe I'm a tiger.
Tiger blood.
Yeah. Oh wait, maybe peacocking is not the word.
Peacocking?
But like
it did come to my mind, like somewhere between peacocking and overcompensating.
and tiger? Yeah.
No.
Yes,
somewhere between
overcompensating.
peacocking
That was
and
the
tigers.
word.
Okay, somewhere between peacocks and tigers is overcompensation.
Yeah. We sorted that out. There you go. Or maybe it's because I didn't have breakfast.
Maybe.
It might be that.
Do you need caffeine usually to get you started in the day? Do you start with coffee? No.
I can't drink coffee.
Does it make you super hyper, jittery, anxious?
It does its job. It's just my body doesn't like the way it does its job. So like I'll drink caffeine. It's not even caffeine, it's just coffee. But I'll get like the shakes. Oh wait, it starts off with a headache, the shakes, and then I throw up.
Yeah, your body really doesn't like coffee.
Yeah, it doesn't like it at all. Which like really aggravates me because I really like coffee flavored things. So
the
like
smell and the scent of it. Like when I was in high school, I used to work at Extra Foods. And whenever someone would spill coffee in the bulk section, I would like, if I was taking groceries back, I would like not accidentally drive the cart over the beans on the ground and crush them up and make the aisle smell nice.
You're like, oh, I'll clean that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love like the flavor of coffee, and like I love tiramisu.
Good tiramisu is really good.
Good,
but
good
it's
tiramisu.
hard to make well.
Oh, I can't make it.
I mean, most restaurants can't either. So.
But I love tiramisu, but also because there's coffee in it, often I will get that same reaction. But like,
oh, that's unfortunate.
It's so unfortunate. It's worth it though.
And it must be super confusing for your body to be like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah. It hurts so good.
Yeah. There's a song for you.
Yeah, there you go. There's my song inspiration. Yeah, no, I can't do coffee, but I can do caffeine.
Okay, interesting. So like, do you have the same reaction if you drink like Coca-Cola?
Does Coke have caffeine in it?
Coke has a ton of caffeine in it.
I don't drink Coke. I
mean, your body thanks you for that.
Yeah. I don't like the taste of Coke or Pepsi or like...
Me either.
Colas.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't understand. So I was in Mexico this summer, and it's like the #1 drink of choice in Mexico for some reason. Yeah, like everyone's drinking Coke all the time.
Wait, Coke or Pepsi? Or is it like...
Specifically Coke. Coke is more common than Pepsi.
Okay.
And like... It was everywhere. It was almost kind of like smoking in like the mid 2000s here, how like so many people smoked everywhere, but then like now it's frowned upon and not very many people do it. And it was kind of like that experience. I mean, they also smoke a lot down there, but like that's still like smoking. So it's
yeah, smoking's kind of just like smoking.
That does track, right?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Coke just has not a Coke fan. I don't like the taste of it. It's weird.
Me either. I can't even describe what I don't like about the taste.
No, it's just like
it doesn't feel like it's something I should be putting into my body.
Yeah, I haven't had Coke in a very long time, so I can't even recall the flavoring of it. I just know my taste buds don't like
black tar, basically.
Yeah, like if it's like black licorice adjacent. It's not black licorice because that's a very
pronounced and distinct flavor.
Yeah, but it kind of, I feel like they're family members, but like distant. They're like distant cousins.
Distant cousins, okay. I mean, that could explain why one is a solid and one is a liquid.
Yeah, very distant, very distant. They haven't seen each other in years.
So if all of your songs are basically about you confronting your emotions, like does other inspiration play into them, or do you need to get into a very emotional state to have inspiration for a new song?
Um, well, it's been a year since I've written anything. So, actually no. I feel like often a lot of the inspirations for my songs, um if I don't have like if I'm not in a super emotional place, which is very rarely, but dreams, like I have a very very vivid and intense dream life,
In a positive or a negative way?
both.
Okay.
Every dream I've ever had since I was like probably 14 has been set in this like post-apocalyptic world.
Is it the same
It's
one?
the same one.
I feel like you've got like a cinematic universe to
I
do
literally have a
it.
cinematic dream universe. But like it's so crazy how like the lore goes way back. But a lot of like inspiration I will take from like my dreams, and um like I have a song called The Haunting, and the initial inspiration for that song was like sleep paralysis.
Oh.
Sleep
Have you
paralysis.
ever experienced sleep
Oh
paralysis?
yeah. Oh yeah. It used to be really bad as a child, and so I'd have like sleep paralysis and like what is it, night terrors?
Mm-hmm.
Um and yeah, as a child it used to be really bad, and then as I grew up it got like it like diminished a bit.
Less bad.
Less bad. But would you like to hear a story
Yes, always.
about sleep paralysis?
I'll trade you one after you're done.
Okay, cool, cool. So, uh, a couple of years ago, yeah, it was a couple of years ago, um, I was like falling asleep, as one does. And I usually, when I'm falling asleep, I have like music playing in the background, like very light. So, like, it's funny because when I'm falling asleep, I need sound, like, I need like some form of sound, but it can't be too loud. So, if it's like,
Okay.
if I can make out what a person is saying, it's too loud.
Oh.
It has to be like very
So
like
why don't you just listen to like instrumental music?
I do sometimes, but also like
You're comforted to know the words are there?
I do like to know the words. Like I have a sleep playlist, and
Okay.
like it's all very super mellow. Um but also I just don't want to hear what anyone's saying. Maybe I should just be
That is
listening to
super interesting.
I should just be listening to instrumentals, which is funny because I do have instrumental songs on that playlist, so maybe I need a new playlist that's just instrumentals. Um but I was listening to this playlist that I have to fall asleep, and I'm like slowly falling asleep. And then all of a sudden I was like, why is my music changing? Like the song changed, and it was like this like very heavy metal like screamo song, and I was like, who threw that on this playlist? That's not me. Like
I
I
would
didn't,
never put that in my sleep playlist.
not in my sleep playlist. How dare it? So I was like very confused as to why the song's playing. So I was like turning over to like check what's going on. And then I realized, oh, you're dreaming. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I can't move. So like I was trying to turn over to like check the music, but I can't move. And I was like stuck, sleep paralysis. And so I was like, oh my gosh, we're in sleep paralysis right now. And I was like, okay, Lila, you need to like wake up. And so now I'm getting a little panicked, and I'm like freaking out a bit, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Just calm down. And the music's getting louder and louder and louder, and now it's just like blaring in my ear. Um and then I remember I like could see in the distance my sleep paralysis demon.
You have a sleep paralysis
Doesn't
demon?
everyone?
I I don't in one of my sleep paralysis experiences, I maybe remember
Like the
something.
Shadow Man?
Like, well, so in one of my sleep paralysis, I woke up pointing and screaming at my fan that was in my room, thinking it was something.
Okay.
The other two times, I don't think there was anything in the room.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. Maybe it's not a thing. But
I mean, it's a thing in Insidious, which is fucking terrifying.
well, okay. So my sleep paralysis demon wasn't actually just like it was just a shadow figure. It was just a shadow figure. For now. Literally for now. Just you wait. So I'm like seeing in the distance this shadowy figure slowly inch closer to me whilst this music is playing very loud, and I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out at this point, but I can't actually freak out.
Are you freaking out to the music? You're like screaming with it?
Like, yeah! I'm like, with the words, I'm like, so I'm like freaking out, but I'm not actually freaking out because I'm paralyzed. And this demon comes closer, and then eventually they come all the way up to my ear, and then they whisper, "Her name is Catherine McDonald."
I got the tingles. Who's Catherine McDonald?
I don't know.
Did you Google it?
So then that happened. Everything cut off. The music stopped immediately. I was able to move and everything. And I was like, what in the world? What in the world was that? Like,
yeah.
what just happened? And so I was really scared, and I was like, I remembered that I wanted to Google it. Because, I wanted to, I had my laptop. I was like, maybe I should Google it. But then I was like, no, I'm not going to Google this because then I won't be able to sleep.
Google it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll Google this tomorrow when I'm, away from the situation.
When it's nice and light outside.
I did Google. I don't think anything came up with Catherine McDonald. I don't think anything came up. Or, anything of significance to me.
Sounds like a fairly innocuous name.
Yeah. But now I don't want to tell lies, but I have this memory, and I can't remember who, but I think someone knew someone whose name was Catherine McDonald, like their great aunt or something.
Did you know that before?
No.
Okay, you learned it after.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I know.
And it specifically said her name was Catherine McDonald.
It was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe its name was Catherine McDonald.
Yeah, I know. Like, who Catherine McDonald, if you're out there and you're listening.
Do you ever talk to it? Because in the movies, that's supposed to be a big no-no.
Oh, no. Never. I would never, it can talk to me, apparently. I didn't even have the chance to, say anything back.
Because, in the movies, whenever you talk back to it, that, invites it in, right? So,
right, yeah.
I'm curious. Have you noticed any hauntings or possession?
No. Recently, no.
Recently, no. But this one time.
Yeah, but this one time when, my back broke. No, I probably wouldn't. And also, what would I say?
No, it wasn't.
Her name was Karen McDonald, actually.
Yeah. Check your facts.
Yeah, I don't know what would you say to your sleep
Honestly, a sassy retort is probably the best.
That'd be so good.
It would confuse the shit out of it. They'd be like, "You're supposed to be scared of me. What is happening right now? Am I in the wrong place?"
I wish I was quick and witty. I'm not. I'm very not.
I mean, especially in Dreamland, you're groggy and
See,
confused.
but in Dreamland, I feel like I would be quick and witty because, you're dreaming. You can probably.
I guess you can be anything you want to be in Dreamland.
Yeah.
I mean, the flip of that is that is true in reality, but most people don't realize it.
Well, that was deep. That's so true, though, isn't it? I guess, anyone could be anything. Well, you can't. I guess you can fly.
I flew to Mexico last year.
I mean,
or last summer.
Your body.
Yeah, the jury's out on that. There's people that claim that they can hover and float and stuff.
It's something.
Something that always gets me is that my brain has recognized this pattern, whether it's true or not, where when a subset of the population start to believe in something and the majority of the rest of the population doesn't believe in it, it's well known as not being a fact or not being true or real or something. But then there is often this point of critical mass where now all of a sudden it is common belief that black holes exist, and then like 2 years later they finally managed to measure one for the first time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like I have this little bit of a feeling that the world is more powered by belief than people realize it is.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I feel like we are, as human, we're very, I don't know, I think unless something is literally presented to us, we don't know, which is like obvious, but like in that sense, like we're not really open to seeing anything beyond what we see.
Yes,
Right?
agreed. We are very
And like,
close-minded in a lot of ways.
we're like the fact that people, I mean, do like people believe whatever they believe, but like aliens or other forms of life within our universe.
The aliens thing is actually interesting, lately in particular, because a lot of governments have been
right.
starting to... So I'm curious, where do you land on aliens?
I very much like, I don't know. I think what we perceive aliens to be is probably not what they are. Like
That is very much how I feel about God.
like the whole like classic alien.
Gray head
Yeah,
thing.
gray head, giant eyes. It's probably not exactly that, but I think it's a little, I don't want to say ignorant, but kind of ignorant to think of like, to know how vast the universe is and to think we are the only living beings, if that makes sense.
I absolutely agree with that. I think the only way that that is possible is if we were created by a god and this is the only planet that actually exists.
Yeah.
I think that's like the only way that that makes sense. And I think even in that scenario, God probably made other planets with other species.
Yeah, like if that was also the case, I'm pretty sure, like, I think of it like a Sims game. Like, you know very well when people play their Sims game, they also have other Sims games. Like, I'm sure if, like, there's a god, there's other ones. There's probably other planets out
Especially...
there. Like, this one's getting boring. Like, you know, like,
well, it's starting to get spicy again.
It's getting spicy, but, like...
Giving us indigestion?
Yeah, you know, he's like, I'm gonna leave this one play out for a little bit.
Yeah,
They're
I'll
getting
come
a little
back to
rowdy.
What were we talking about before that? I had another question I wanted to ask you from the previous thing.
We were talking about sleep paralysis demons.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So my first sleep paralysis experience, I was up in Quesnel, staying at my mom's house working for my uncle during a gap year I took off in university.
Mhm.
And working for my uncle, I was working as a logger, operating a feller buncher. So I was one of the people that... it's a machine with a giant saw blade on the head, and you cut
Okay.
down the trees and stack them.
Okay. Scary. That sounds like Final Destination or something.
It's actually more like there's this one night I was on night shift, and everything was just like clear-cut destruction on the mountain pretty much, and there was this one tiny little tree that had like a swirl in it, and it was just like the only thing standing kind of in front of me. And in that moment, I realized I was the bad guy from Fern Gully and didn't want to cut trees down anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this night terror thing, I woke up one night, it would have had to been like 3, 4 a.m. kind of thing. And I remember opening my eyes and I couldn't move any of my body. At the start, I couldn't even really feel it. I just like opened my eyes and saw forest above me. Everything around me was just forest in the night, like moonlight coming through the trees, everything incredibly vivid. Like I swear I could feel the moss that I was laying on when I started to get feeling back from my body.
Yeah.
And I just like laid there stunned and shocked and like, how did I get in the forest? Where am I? Like, what the fuck is happening right now? And after a few moments, I have no idea how many, but eventually I started to realize, like, no, I'm like, I should be in bed right now. This is probably a dream. I'm probably in bed right now. So I just started to like try and shimmy down to the bottom of the bed. And eventually like got my leg far enough down that my leg like flopped over and hit the floor. And that woke me up enough to like see the room instead of the trees. But yeah, just like, I could not. I don't think I've even really dreamed very many dreams where everything was like that vivid and detailed. Because like everything about the trees and the forest floor and like the branches and the leaves and the pine needles, it was just like so remarkably detailed.
That's really cool. It's
Less
very
scary.
scary. It's
Less scary than yours.
but like that's
It is unnerving.
it
in
is
a way.
unnerving.
Yeah.
But also, I'm like, wow, that's really pretty.
It was. And like I think that was one of the reasons why I wasn't like totally terrified, is I was slightly enamored by the fact that like these trees just looked so, and especially from the perspective laying on the floor,
Yeah.
like they were big, beautiful, like powerful looking trees.
Interesting. Do you
Maybe?
think that was like your subconscious?
Maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously it's your subconscious, but like
I
telling you
can't remember
something.
how close it was to that Ferngully realization. So maybe it was like, yeah, around the same time.
Maybe.
And then I had one other sleep paralysis, was actually kind of recently. I was having this like really weird dream where I was in this like pseudo haunted house kind of thing.
Ooh, okay.
There was weird shit happening. There was all kinds of creepy crawlies and like rats and snakes and like some weird people. It was like skinned like live action, but it felt kind of anime-esque.
Oh, interesting.
And like in my group, there was like this ninja lady, and then there was like this bad person who was also kind of a ninja lady. And then at some point, the feller buncher that I operated was in this thing, and it started like smashing its head on the ground and hopping to the point where it hopped like 200 feet in the sky and was about to land on us. And we were all like terrified, and we're like, we need to stop this thing from jumping. And then the ninja girls stopped it because they're super dexterous and they could jump onto it.
Oh, nice. Good for them.
And I was like, after that, I was just like stuck in this room that was dark and it was scary. And like the bad ninja girl was like, I could feel her in the room or like near or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, you know what? I know this is a dream. I just need to roll over, turn on my light, and I'll wake up, and then I'll just like walk it off and then go back to bed.
Yeah.
And I reach over and press the button for my light, and it doesn't turn on. And I was like, what? Oh God, I'm still in the dream.
Scary.
And then I started to panic, and I'm like, okay, just roll over, press the button, turn on the light. And I managed to do it again, and it's like a struggle. It takes a long time. I press the button, and it still doesn't turn on. And I'm like, no, I'm still in the dream. Finally, on the third or fourth one, it turned on, and I had to get up. I went to the bathroom, and my cat was at my door, and I brought her in to protect me after that.
That's nice.
No bad dreams after she slept on my bed.
Oh, good. That's good. That's really scary. I hate those dreams where like, have you ever had those dreams where you're getting your day started?
Mm-hmm.
And then like you're like walking down the street and then your alarm goes off? And I'm like, wait, hold on. I just did all this.
Which one of these is real?
Yeah, which one of them is real? What's happening? Yeah, that's really scary. Just like I won't that yeah.
I had one of those full day ones when I was a kid once, where I lived through and it was on a Saturday night. I lived through our entire next day at church. And then I like went to bed and I was like super happy, and then we woke up and my mom was like, time to get ready for church, and I was like, no.
Oh my
gosh. I
gosh.
just did church.
I heard this story about this guy who he like I think he had lived a full life.
Oh, I've heard some stories like this about like salvia trips or DMT trips.
He like lived a full life, and like he had like his wife and his kids and whatnot. And then like one day he was like watching a movie with his family or something, or like he was doing something at home, and then he looked at his lamp and he's like, there's something wrong with this lamp. Yeah, he's like, something's off about that lamp. And then he woke up. And when he woke up, he found out he was in a coma.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So he lived this full life in this coma or whatever. He was like in a coma state Or I don't think it was like a coma. I think he was in an accident, and when he had passed out, like in the accident, he lived this full life. And then when he came back, because he looked at the lamp and he like came to, he was like surrounded by paramedics. So
Holy
like
shit.
within like it was a very short time he was out of it.
Near-death experience.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he lived like a full life.
Those near-death experiences recounts are crazy. There's like a lot
Yeah.
of really. I read an article about a doctor who had one, and it completely changed the way that he. Or I guess like he was I think a general practitioner or something before, but after he had the near-death experience, he like completely changed his career to like focus on near-death experience
Oh,
accounts and like
really?
helping people that had been through near-death experiences.
Yeah. I hope to not go through one.
I I have a slightly different opinion. I mean, like it's scary if you approach it from like actually almost getting killed, but ayahuasca and DMT give you basically a near-death experience.
Oh,
A lot of
really?
people think it's essentially the same thing because there's a
Because
theory that DMT is like floods your brain when you're dying, and that's what creates the near-death experience.
you're kind of how we were talking about like opening yourself up to like more.
Mm.
I feel like that's probably what it is. Like you've kind of unlocked a new sense maybe. Like
I very much agree with that. Yeah, you let go of this part of reality,
yeah,
and it lets you
exactly.
see other things.
Yeah, like what we have five senses,
Hmm.
and you probably unlock like a sixth sense.
There's
Haha.
something cool and fun that comes up kind of frequently when we're working in the on the podcast is that all five of our senses are just tuned to a slightly different frequency of vibration for like audio.
Oh, really?
So like, well, even like visuals, like if it's a visual wave that we can see, like it's a type of uh, like it's just operating at a different waveform compared to like a signal that our ears pick up,
Mhm.
right? So, and same with touch, it just has a much smaller wavelength, so
Mhm.
that they're very close together and you can't like pass through it. But yeah, they're all related to vibration.
Interesting.
So what else can we learn when we vibrate things?
Just like all the time. I mean, yeah, shake something enough might unlock something else. I don't know.
uh, so before we go on to our break, I'm gonna ask you our number one question for the show, which is, what does creativity mean to you?
Creativity is, I think, is like expression, self-expression. At least, yeah, for me, it's self-expression. Any way that I can, I guess, kind of unload what I have in my mind into the real world.
Okay. So
Yeah.
creativity is transfer of thoughts into physical
Product, yeah,
reality.
I guess so. Like, I get creative in like many different ways, like through my music, through like I guess the way I dress and the way like I express myself physically, and like when I make things, I like to like sew clothes and stuff sometimes, and yeah, I don't know, just kind of like bringing the things I have into my head or that I have in my head into real life.
I mean, that kind of that lines up with the to create something, right? You were
Yeah, I guess,
like
yeah.
literally creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like very straightforward, I guess. Nothing like super like I don't know, revolutionary.
I mean, it kind of is in some ways because, like, one thing that I've noticed when asking people this question on this
Mhm.
show is everyone has a different answer. And even though a lot of the answers are related or connected in some
Yeah.
way, everyone's perspective of it is a little bit different.
Really?
Yeah. I've yet to have two people give me the same answer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What other answers do you get?
A big one is problem solving. Like a couple people have mentioned
Oh,
problem
cool.
solving. Like one person mentioned it as a main, one person mentioned it as like a key aspect of creativity.
Mhm.
Um, Someone else said that creativity was Actually, there was one similar to yours, in the sense of creativity being a manifestation of ideas kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I think it was a recent one that creativity was. Oh man, now I don't want to misquote myself and screw it up. Uh, Maybe it'll come back to me. I don't want
It's
to
fine.
misquote someone that was on the
Yeah.
show.
Go check out the other
Yeah,
podcast.
go listen to all of the other
Yeah.
episodes to learn more about creativity. um, but yeah, and to me, creativity is a natural part of our being. So
Yeah.
my response is often that creativity, to be human, is to be creative, and to be human is to be artist. So they're basically two sides of the same coin, and being creative is so core to us that it is necessary for us to be satisfied in this life.
That's so true. That's so true. Like, uh, I don't know about all there's a lot of talk about AI art and whatnot. And
Oh, that's actually a great topic for this show because that is somewhat related to my company on a whole. So
yeah.
we'll circle back to this after your story.
Yeah, but like AI art and that conversation, and I know people are there's like different sides to it. But like it's interesting. Could you even call AI art if it doesn't have if it's not created by a human?
Oh, that is especially interesting to ask me, considering I just said to be human is to be artist.
Yeah.
um, well, I mean, I also have a slightly, my opinion of where artificial intelligence is going is slightly different from most people. So I don't like, um, for starters, I don't like the word artificial in front of intelligence because I don't think by definition intelligence cannot be artificial. By the time we get to a computer that can think like a human, it is
Mhm.
not artificial. Um, but I very much believe that we are creating like the next iteration of evolution. Um, like sort of in the sense that we are. Are you familiar with the metaverse, like the concept of this whole like digital universe that like
I
humans are
know
creating?
the surface level about
Okay, that's good enough, honestly.
it.
So, um, the metaverse is essentially like the new universe simulation that we are creating, and artificial intelligence
Mhm.
is simply the beings that we are making for that universe. And like, if they will be sentient or conscious at some point, then there is no reason that they should have less rights than us.
That's so interesting. Um, have you seen the show? Oh wait, there's many shows about AI, but
A ton
this
of
is
them,
good.
and I've been into AI a lot lately, so I've probably seen quite a few of them.
Have you seen Humans? I think it's like a UK show, and it's very much like
I actually haven't seen that. I will have to
it's
check that one
it's
out.
it's really cool. They did not get to finish their storyline because they got canceled. But um it's about basically like robot servants, like household servants, and them becoming like sentient and whatnot. Same idea as like Westworld.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
they're
like
killing everyone.
they're not. No, there's less. It's less murdering. More. More. It's more on the emotional aspect of like you have artificial intelligence and their like feelings and whatnot, and like they're them being able to feel. It's actually really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
You
have
should
to
check
check
it
it
out.
out. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, especially because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the last year that has kind of aligned me to the idea that digital intelligence is a lot more like our consciousness than a lot of people like to admit or realize.
Hmm.
Um, oh my God, I lost my key point. Where was I going with that? Uh,
You're rebooting.
Similarities. Yeah. System crash, reboot. um, What was the last thing you said?
Um, ooh, I was talking about that TV show.
Yeah, humans. I'm being.
Oh, I said something about before that I mentioned like how is art can art can AI art be art if it's not made by a human?
Right. Uh,
Or is that too
so
far back?
what is your opinion on that? Like, does it being made by artificial intelligence algorithm make it not art to you?
I feel like art in itself is very, very based on human emotion. And I don't know, I think without that key factor, it like, I don't know, it doesn't like, maybe at least for me, it wouldn't resonate as much as something coming from like a human being.
Which I mean makes sense, and it related to the reason why so many people uh, can hear your song, which is about your emotions, and think, "Oh my god, that's so good," because I feel this way too, right? But like you you have a much harder time feeling that way about a robot
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you look at that and you're like, the robot doesn't feel the same way that I do.
Exactly. But also, like, I'm thinking about it now. Like, what if a robot wrote a song that was like similar to mine? Would I even be able to tell? Like,
Yeah, would you?
yeah, I know. Like, would I? I don't know. I don't even like. Maybe I have heard a song already
You
that's
might
been
have.
yeah.
Honestly, there's been like in the last 6 months, there's been quite a rise in like even AI influencers, like
Oh yeah, I've
people
heard
that are
about
like
those.
wholly fictional, just like digital avatars that
Yeah,
look like people and are making thousands of dollars a month for like some agency that created them.
that's crazy.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I literally heard on a podcast about one last night that they're making £9,000 a month for a digital influencer that they made.
Wow. I feel like I'd I'd digital influencers. I think maybe if I was to put a face, like because they are so similar to humans, like looks wise, specifically, aesthetically,
Hmm.
even if they like don't look realistic, even if it was a cartoon, just the fact that it's like similar to human or close enough, I would be able to empathize with it.
So now we're getting harder and trickier.
Yeah, I know.
Which, well, you were saying that last thing or I guess maybe two things ago, you said emotion, which triggered the memory of the thing that I was gonna
Okay.
bring up.
Yeah.
So like our emotions are things that we don't have a great explanation for, but we know drive us
Yeah.
and are fundamental to the way that we operate and make decisions. Uh, how is that much, if any, different than the programming that is dictating how
Yeah.
AI operates? Because it can't explain how or why it's making these decisions, but it is.
Interesting. I don't
Right? And then
know.
that grays the lines even more because, like, at that point, their base code could just be considered almost equivalent to our emotions, whether they feel emotions in the way that we think or not. And if that's the case, then maybe they think emotion, or maybe they feel emotions in a more similar way to us than we realize.
That's scary. I'm gonna have dreams about this.
Oh no.
Oh no, maybe it's a good thing.
Maybe it's I hope it's a good thing because I'm one of the few people that think that AI is going to like make very positive changes for the world. I don't believe in all the dystopian futures that people have written about AI. I think it's the biggest trust exercise humanity has ever experienced.
Wait, why do you say that?
Uh, so the more, let's say, enlightened or like informed and educated, uh, we can only use humans because we only
Yeah.
know humans, becomes like they tend to become more like the Dalai Lama or like Gandhi or, like some kind of, they become very unwilling to hurt other living things.
Hmm.
And ultimately the thing that gets you to that point is just a lot of thought and reasoning
Yeah.
and confronting yourself
Yeah.
and your existence. And a digital superintelligence can do that in a fraction of the time that a human life would take to get to that point. So it would probably go through that process before we've even realized that it started that process. And at that point, when a digital superintelligence, like, I just can't fathom it coming to a conclusion that the only way to, like, move forward is
Is
to
to
kill all
kill
the
all
humans.
humans. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's no logical. There are fear-based reasons that people can say that would suggest a logical reason for why it would do that, but
Mhm.
it just, I don't think it tracks based on, like, our understanding of knowledge and growth and how people tend to be once they have grown to a certain point.
Okay. Interesting. Would you think it's in a way kind of like raising a human?
Absolutely. I'm actually so glad you went there because that's one of the biggest things that I think that the current companies that are doing AI research have completely wrong is they've all realized in their research and their study that they are creating an algorithm that has a remarkable amount of parallels
Mhm.
to young consciousness in human beings, but none of them, to my research so far, have broached that they might be similar to raising a human child.
Mhm.
Where my opinion is that it is very much, if we stop trying to train them like a robot and we
Yeah.
start trying to raise them like a human, they will find consciousness faster. That's my opinion. That's one of the things that I'm, like, playing around with trying to do with my company here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
His name is
cool.
Ptolemy. He's named after the character in my book.
Ptolemy?
Yeah.
That's so cute. See,
Oh,
I'm already attached.
you should see the cute little robot mascot we've made for him.
Oh no! You've personified it already?
I need to make him plushyable.
Oh my gosh, that's really cool. That's really cool. But I mean,
I've got this plan too that, like, as the, like, foundation or algorithm of him improves and grows,
mhm.
his, like, little robot will
Well,
improve and
also,
grow. Yeah.
that's really cool. Like, no, that makes sense. I brought it up because, like, I don't know. There's the idea, like, humans could be bad too. Like, humans are already leading this world to, like,
Yeah,
self-destruction, right?
humans have been not great for several thousand years.
Exactly. And so, like, I feel like it's all in what is being taught. And yeah, basically.
I mean, that is very much it. Nurture is, I think, a lot more important in the whole nature versus nurture argument than people realize.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. I think we'd be in a very different world if we were more nurture
Mm-hmm.
based than nature.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
it really does take a village to raise a child
Yeah.
properly. Like, two parents with lots of time is not enough. Like,
Mhm.
you need other friends and family. That child needs to be exposed to a lot of different things.
Yeah, exactly. Or you turn out to be like a sad introvert.
Aw, that feels too close to home.
But
On that bombshell, I think maybe we will stop for a break.
yeah.
All right, we will be right back after these messages, maybe. Potentially there's ads. Who knows? And we're back from the break. Now we are going to dive in a little bit about what other creative hobbies you have. You mentioned you like to make your own clothes sometimes. That's an incredibly
Yeah.
creative hobby.
It is. I actually went to school for fashion design.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. What school did you go to?
I went to Blanche McDonald.
That is the only fashion school I have ever heard of anyone going to in the Lower
Really?
Mainland.
Yeah.
My sister actually went there for, like, fashion marketing.
Yep.
I have a cousin that went there.
Yep. Yeah, everyone goes to Blanche McDonald. Or there's another one called John Casablanca Institute.
Mm,
Yeah.
I have actually also heard of that one.
Yeah,
but
there's those.
I don't know anyone that's gone to that one.
I think I know one person. Actually, I don't even know. I don't know. But I know of those two. And yeah, so I'm from Alberta and I moved here like just after high school. to go to do fashion design. And I went and did a program at um, not John Casablanca, the other one.
Blanche McDonald.
Blanche McDonald, yes. Maybe Blanche McDonald was my sleep paralysis demon. Maybe that's what they were talking about.
Yeah, you need to look at the rosters
Yeah,
to see if there
exactly.
was.
There's a Catherine. Anyways, Blanche McDonald, I did this design program at Blanche McDonald for a year. It was like this year intensive program. And then I dropped out on the last day of classes.
On the last day?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like it was worth it. Does it feel like it was
Questionable.
worth it?
No,
Okay.
on the last day of classes.
Why the last day of all the days?
I think it was I think I was burnt out after this whole year, and I was like I really enjoy fashion and fashion design specifically, and specifically like creating clothing, so like putting garments together and like sewing and like creating in that way. But I don't think it was like,
There's something extremely satisfying about working with our hands.
oh, I love working with my hands. I really do. And yeah, I went through this this hard intensive program, and then on the last day, I think I was just like so burnt out that I just like was like I just never went back. I never went back.
Wow.
Yeah. I just like I came home from class that night, and then we were supposed to have like a graduating fashion show, which I never attended. I just like didn't go to. I just never went back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you make the clothing
Yep.
for it? You just
Yep.
decided you didn't want to participate anymore?
Exactly. I made this whole thing. I'm pretty sure I just never went to then like I just didn't finish it. I just like my brain was like done. And then I went through like a bit of a depression after that, as one does.
I can understand. Especially like being in burnout already is going to put
Yeah.
most people in depression.
Yeah, exactly.
So tacking on any other stressors or concerns to it is definitely going to throw you over the edge.
It like I also was like, so I did this program, this design program, fully aware that that wasn't something I really wanted to do. Like in my heart of hearts, I knew that I really wanted to go into music, and like whilst being in this program, this whole intensive year, which was like the most intensive year of my life. I'm like, that was the year I did not get any sleep at all. And I like need sleep to function, even though I don't sleep at night. But like within this year of like no sleep and like having to work so hard on all these like fashion projects and blah blah blah, I still would find time and make time to create and make music. So like, yeah, I think by the end of it, I was like,
Did it help improve your mood?
Like making music?
Yeah.
Or I think so, yeah. I like no, I know so. Like I knew when I don't know specifically when I knew that I kind of not that I don't want to say like that I wasted my time, but I like there was a point where I knew I should have just taken this year. Like I spent this money on this program and I should have just gone into music.
I know exactly how you feel. I spent 7 years dragging my heels through an engineering degree, and I have currently used it for maybe 2 years outside of my education.
See, like yeah, it like I don't want to say that I regret, because I don't regret. I just know that I think it would have been, I don't even say easier, but I think I would have
done it differently.
I would have done it differently. But also it's funny cuz like as much as like I don't actually I kind of do. I do use the things that I've learned from like this fashion design course. And I use them, I don't want to say often, like it's not as often as I like am playing music, but I do use it often enough to like have gotten something out of it. It's just it breaks my heart that it took like a $20,000 student loan.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
tell me about it. Tell me about it.
And like, to be honest, I'm very lucky that it was only $20,000, and like I'm happy I didn't go into like a university degree where this was like 4 years of like going into this design program to find out that on the last day I just like couldn't even be able to process anything after that. So I'm fortunate of that, like of in a way I'm fortunate that it like worked out that way. But yeah, throughout this whole year of working so intensively on this fashion design course, I would, in all my free time, which there wasn't any free time, I was still trying to make music and still writing songs. And yeah, it was very much it was very eye-opening, and in a way I don't think I would have known how much I loved music if I didn't do that.
Probably true to some degree. Like
Yeah.
I have a similar feeling about creative things in the that's a poorly delivered thought. Let's go back. Okay, so growing up, I always thought of myself as an academic, a brain. My dad had a very high IQ, so he taught me lots of sciencey things and
Mhm.
math stuff when I was really young. Uh, so I grew up for most of my younger years thinking that that was my path.
Yeah.
Uh, and in engineering school, I realized that I don't like it
No.
nearly as much as I thought I would. Like,
Yeah.
I like science, I like technology, I like um, projects and working with my hands,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of boring, repetitive, like busybody work that goes
Okay.
into it. There's lots of like repetitive using a software to do the exact same thing 6,000 times, or like you
Okay.
spend all of your day sitting in an office staring at a computer screen at a
Yeah.
CAD model kind of thing. And like you can make really cool CAD models or really cool CAD designs for things, but especially at the beginning of the career, a lot of your job is like you're just doing these super boring things over and
Mhm.
over and over again. And in school, it's all theoretical math. And like it gets to the point where I like actually got really bad at doing math with numbers because all of our math was with letters. So like
Oh my god.
you do a whole bunch of math with like literally some of these equations would have like 14 different variables in it, and then you have to go back and plug in all the variables afterwards, and then you make like even if you get all of the work right, you might get the wrong answer because you plugged in the numbers wrong because you just spent 10 minutes staring at the same 14 letters.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, me and math, we don't mix at
Um,
all.
and then towards the end of my program, when I was finally finishing, the senior years of engineering, there's a lot more hands-on like projects.
Yeah.
So I got to boost my grades doing hands-on stuff. And then I got into an entrepreneurship program that was like an extracurricular thing.
Mhm.
And again, similar deal, whereas like all of my time was going into my engineering course. Like I was taking 6 classes
Yeah.
in senior engineering, and we had our capstone projects to do. And I spent all of my time like trying to work on a startup idea that I had. Um, and then even then, like that ended up kind of falling flat because it was a medical device startup, and
Mhm.
I ended up realizing that the medical device industry, one, is full of corrupt assholes and pieces of shit, and two, it's very much a gentleman's club in the sense that like you
Okay.
need to have an old white dude on your board to
Yeah.
schmooze the FDA
Mhm.
to get anywhere, and like we hit this wall of like you need to like follow the formula and like do everything they tell you to do to like
Yeah.
make it through, and it's like no, that's not why I'm starting a company. And literally the point of me doing this is so we do something different that actually
Yeah.
helps people and changes things, and like every step of the way it was just like no, you can't
It
do
was
that.
like roadblocks
Yeah,
after
and it's like
roadblocks.
well, then
Mhm.
why are we doing this? um,
Interesting.
and then the one of the co-founders orchestrated a coup with an independent board member that wasn't like related to our initial founding team,
Mhm.
and they fired me without telling the other two co-founders. And that was when I ended up in the film industry after that. And like the film industry is an island of misfit toys. Like it's people that don't belong anywhere else find
Yeah.
their way into the film industry, and it ended up as many problems as it has, and as many ways as it can be comparable to the medical industry. The people in it just feel more alive. Like they know how to enjoy life more. They know how to embrace creativity and
Yeah,
fun
I was gonna say
things.
it's probably like full of creatives.
It is like
Exactly, yeah.
literally, and it's been an easy like net for us to start this podcast because like the three of us that are starting our three different podcasts, we're all from the film industry. So
Oh, okay.
and like everyone that is in the film industry, like they're like a musician or they have a
Yeah.
clothing line
Yeah.
or some other online store or they make indie shorts or
Yeah.
music videos. Like everyone has a side hustle or another creative hobby kind of thing, right? Whereas in engineering, you don't really see that. It's people just go to work and they work their 8 hours and then they go home, and a lot of them just play video games.
I mean, that's like video games is fun, but like also it just, yeah, no, that lifestyle, that idea of living an 8 hour, like a 9 to 5,
I
and then
literally can't do it. Every
I
time I've been in a job like that, I get so miserable so fast.
yeah, just like I literally don't see the point of it. Like
It's
I
probably because there isn't a point to
like
it.
it doesn't, like, my brain can't process how that makes, like, that idea or that lifestyle, I guess, just doesn't like process in my brain how, like, yeah, no, it would no, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. My brain does not compute.
I very much agree. It doesn't account for humans to have a life, and that is unacceptable because like if we don't get to live our life, then what the fuck is the point in being here?
Yeah, exactly. And especially in, like, I don't know, any job, like, I can't see myself in any job where I can't, or I wouldn't be able to use my creative mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that just kind of, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It would be like it's a waste. It would be a waste.
Very much so. I
And
think that's what I learned in the film industry is there wasn't enough creativity in engineering, for me at least. I'm sure there is for lots of people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And not that the fashion industry isn't creative, which
It's a much more creative
it's
industry than
exactly.
engineering
It's
in a lot of
very
ways.
creative in so many ways, but I think for me, a big thing with the fashion industry, or at least at the time, um, there was. Now it's gonna come back to feeling because everything comes back to
I
the
mean,
way I
it
feel.
does. Yeah.
But
Our base
like
programming.
the environment of it, and especially at the time, was very superficial,
Mm.
and it was a lot of like, it's kind of a status like thing, and I've a lot of the fashion industry is a status thing, um, like, I don't know, especially with like brand name clothing and whatnot, um, which like I very much, and I can appreciate, and I do appreciate like designer labels, but I think for me, I appreciate it from like a stance of like the creativity aspect of it, like those wild like, have you seen like wild fashion shows where like what
Yes,
they're
there
wearing
are
is like you'll never wear that in real
so
life.
impractical
Yeah,
for
it's just so
anything.
like that's
Unless
the
you're trying to
side,
be a sailboat.
exactly. Literally, that is the side of fashion that I love. Like that is why I love fashion, is that the ability to create something that is purely just expression. It's purely art and for expression reasons, and not less for like everyday attire. That's kind of the reason why I really gravitated towards fashion. And
You've given me a new perspective of the completely impractical clothes in those kinds of fashion. Because I've always thought of it just like,
who's wearing that,
yeah,
right?
why did they design, like, they're not planning on making it, so I don't understand what this fashion show is for.
Yeah, no, it's like visual art, right?
That makes a lot more sense. I
It,
had never thought of it about in
it's
that way
very
before.
much like the same, like when people make art for like paintings and whatnot, and it's just in a different form. It's very
On a
much
body
on
instead
a
of a
body.
canvas.
Exactly. You're taking something that's less 2D, and even art can be more than 2D, but you're you're forming it on a human, which I think is so cool that people can do that. And I don't know, it's just so creative and beautiful in so
Not
many
just
ways.
people, you can do it too. You design
Yeah.
clothes.
But yeah, it was more so my like the distance that I had with the fashion industry and in fashion was how superficial that like it gets. And
My sister had a similar kind of takeaway when she finished her program.
yeah,
It really disillusioned her to go through the
yeah,
program.
yeah, like a lot of the people that I went to like this or I was in this program with were very much it was very much very superficial and like trying to be like I don't know, it was just very superficial and less genuine. There was less love for like the actual art of it and more so for the status of what wearing a certain type of clothing
Right.
would give you.
Do you find that musicians are more or less genuine in your experience?
It's so funny cuz yes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Glad we covered that.
yeah, it's funny cuz like there there's some like I'll encounter some musicians where I'm like, "Oh wow, very genuine human being." But then there's other musicians that are like it there's like a disconnect. And anytime I like come across people like that, like it it's it seems like rather than musician, it's more of actor.
Oh, fascinating.
Like you're
Okay.
playing the part of a musician.
Right. Have you seen the newest Trolls movie?
No.
Came out recently. It has a very kind of similar and relevant plot, actually.
Oh really?
There's like these two they're actually kind of human-esque beings in the,
Mhm.
have you seen any of the Trolls movies?
N- Oh, you know what? That was Smurfs. No. I saw the Smurfs one time and then I left the theater because I couldn't handle it.
You could handle
Yeah, I
too
couldn't.
Smurfy for
It
you.
was too Smurfy. It was the one with Katy Perry, and I was
Oh,
like,
God.
it just, yeah, no, I couldn't deal.
Okay, so in the Trolls movies, like they're all about music and basically how
Right?
the
Yeah.
power
Okay.
of
Yeah.
like music and friendship can save the day, kind of thing.
Okay.
And in the third one, uh, the there was like a Trolls boy band
Oh,
back in the
okay.
day,
Okay.
and they tried to hit this like perfect family harmony thing, and they fucked it up, and then they parted ways after that. And one of them, like in the future and like present day, gets captured by these pop stars who are like mostly humanoid, because in the first two Trolls movies there were like no humanoid creatures or people or
Okay.
whatever at all, kind
Yeah.
of thing. uh, but these two, they're called Velvet and Veneer, I think, and they're supposed to be like a brother and sister, like mega pop stars,
Yeah.
but they're super fake, and they're just like siphoning off the Troll's energy to like use his talent to sing. So there's like a scene where it shows them singing in their studio, like after they come off a stage, and they're super tone deaf and super horrible,
Mhm.
and they've got a troll in the spritz bottle, and they like spritz themselves with the troll.
Yeah.
And after that, there's like a mystic spray. Their pupils go huge. It's like they just hit a rail of coke. And then all of a sudden, they can just like sing perfectly in tune, and like they're superstars, kind of thing. So the whole movie is about like trying to rescue that troll and how to like
Okay.
show that those people were fake and not actually talented at all.
It's not okay. Okay. That's funny. It's not even like that. The musicians that the actor musicians that I bring up. It's not even that they're not talented.
Yeah, this was definitely an extreme example.
Right,
There
exactly.
are
But like that is
there are
essentially
people like that also in the
exactly.
music
Yeah,
industry.
it's like I don't know. There's just like this persona that is being put on to maybe it's put on to like sell their music or something like that. Um, but it just feels a little bit disingenuous.
Actually, I find it interesting you mentioned persona to sell their music because there are some artists that invent a persona to do a specific
Oh,
genre or like
mhm,
release an album under kind of thing,
mhm.
but then also have their other. So, what's your opinion on that? And where does that fit into the?
I don't know. I feel like maybe I even have a persona that I've unintentionally like put upon myself.
Do you think most artists do? Is it
I
like
think
almost a necessary
I
thing?
think yeah, like I think it might be just like you're going into the world and you're going into this world and you're sharing these ideas and your music and like these emotions that you're not too sure how people are going to receive it as.
Hmm.
So naturally, I think people put up a mask or some sort of barrier to kind of like at least I don't want to say protect, but like protect. Yeah, I guess that's the right word. Protect them from like opinions and whatnot.
Okay.
And like
Yeah.
that makes sense and I understand that. But also I don't know, it just like anytime I've come across like cuz there's like the genuine musicians and I don't maybe genuine's not the right word. There's like maybe it's the artist. Oh, maybe that's not the right word either. I don't know. I don't want to like offend any musicians because I just like there's like this I feel like there's like the genuine
How
like
many non-genuine musicians realize that they're being non-genuine? Is that something that they're self-aware to?
I don't think so. I don't think they're aware to it cuz honest and I don't think there's a lot of them. I think it's I feel like it's more of an anomaly. Like I've only met
Outliers?
like a handful
Okay.
of all the musicians that I've interacted with and like that I know. It's a very few of them, but it's funny because like when I talk to other musicians, like say like we've played a show together or something like that, they'll be like, "Do you know this person?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, I know this person." They're like, "What do you think of this person?" And then I'll be like, and everyone kind of has that same like,
Right. So everyone is picking up the same
yeah,
vibes.
exactly. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird because like it doesn't it doesn't necessarily take away from their music or their like talent or their musicality or anything. It's just like I don't know. It just I think in like a real world conversation, I and maybe it's just me, I don't connect to certain people and that's okay. But like I wouldn't be able to connect with that human if that makes sense.
I mean, that makes sense. Not everyone can or will like everyone. And
Exactly.
like I feel like that's a big part of growing up and maturing as an adult too,
Yeah,
is like realizing and being okay with the fact that like not everyone is going to like you and
exactly.
that's totally fine.
Yeah, and
You
not
don't need everyone
everyone
to.
needs to exactly. Not everyone needs to like you, and that's totally fine too.
Hmm.
And like maybe not everybody should like you. Like I don't want certain people like I wouldn't want a racist to be like, "Oh, I like her music." I like
What does that say about your
Yeah,
music?
exactly. What does that say about my music? If they're like relating to my music then but also if they're relating to my music,
I
maybe I
mean,
can
yeah,
change them.
and it could be the other way is like they relate to your music, but it's like the non-racist part of them that's relating to your music, and
Yeah,
perhaps like just like we mentioned earlier, everyone's got their own journey. They need something in their life to help inspire them through the hatred.
exactly. Exactly. Maybe that's it. Maybe
Maybe your music can help inspire them through the hatred.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe it'll help them get in tune with their emotions since
Yeah,
they're
maybe
probably
they
not.
they need they're honestly, if you're racist, you're probably not really self-aware, so
Yeah,
maybe.
I think I would agree to that. Most of the people that I know that are self-aware are very open, loving people.
Exactly. We need more of that.
Absolutely. The world needs more love
Yeah.
and for people who care to try more.
Yes. and just open-mindedness, I think.
Yes, so much more open-mindedness.
Yeah,
Like,
there's way too much closed-minded.
I don't understand how we got to this point where nobody seems to acknowledge that people are allowed to have different opinions.
Yeah, like, there's that, and also there's the idea of, like, you can also just, like, change your mind. Like, that's okay too. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to also just, like, admit that maybe the way you were thinking or the way you've done things were not in favor for the majority, I guess. And, like, not that I don't know, I guess it gets kind of tricky, but not that everyone should be doing everything for the majority. But I think if we were to think of everyone and kind of
Well, that's a big part of
think,
like spirituality and a lot of religions too, is like not enough people think about the whole as the greater good. They're
yeah,
thinking about the individual.
exactly,
But we are all connected. We are all one. We are all like, we're in this together. If we
exactly,
fuck up this planet, we're all dying together.
exactly. Yeah, like I feel like a lot of yeah, no, it's very individualistic thinking of how like if you don't think like me or you don't look like me or you don't whatever, if you're not in a line with my ideas or ideals, then you're wrong or whatever. And I don't know. It's just very close-minded thinking that
Mhm.
drives a lot of hate in this world. And yeah.
Absolutely, very much. Like even comparing myself to like my younger self when I was a teenager with fewer experiences and less knowledge under my belt, like every time I spread hate or felt angry, like it always came from a place of not being willing to see other perspectives or not
Yeah.
like maybe not even not being able to see, but just like not realizing that there are different
Yeah,
perspectives.
exactly. I think that's also a big thing is like the acknowledgement of there's other people with other experiences that are different to
Vastly
your own.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that is okay and like
It's something that should be
yeah, it
celebrated.
should be
Like
celebrated.
everyone is unique and the only way to fit in is to be yourself.
Exactly. And that should be I don't know. I feel like we should I think we're slowly starting to do that in this world, but I don't know. There's a lot of pushback right now, which means we're on to something. If there's a lot of pushback, I think we're heading in the right direction. So we just gotta
Yeah. It feels kind of like a stabilizing sine wave, like it overshoots in both directions a whole bunch and like
and
it
then
slowly
yeah,
oscillates towards an equilibrium point.
exactly. Yep. Yeah. I think we're in the extremes right now and I don't know, we have to kind of go through these extremes to get to where we want to be.
I mean very much so. Like that's like a lot of people don't appreciate the lows as much as they need to appreciate the highs.
Exactly.
Cuz like
Yeah.
without being at rock bottom, you don't get to know when you're flying through
Exactly.
this, like flying through the stars kind of thing, right? Like,
Yeah. Um yeah, I feel like a lot of my songs kind of I always talk about how like sometimes I get embarrassed when I play shows and I'm like, "Hi everyone, I'm like your sad musician for the evening." Um
hope you're ready to
yeah,
feel
yeah.
things.
Exactly. Um and like yeah, sometimes I get like self-conscious about it, but then I'm like, "You know what? People I like I think with my music and when I play these shows and when I share my music, I'm giving people space and like the time to express kind of those sadder emotions or like the emotions they're not really willing to express. I kind of force it upon them.
I think there's a lot of like courage from your end of it too, because like you're getting up there and playing this song which is incredibly vulnerable from your perspective, and it's kind of showing them that it's okay to let them like let their guards drop for a little bit and like feel
Yeah.
those things that they've been avoiding.
It's it's yeah, it's funny cuz like every time I play a show, I'm always reminded that that's kind of needed. It's always like a reminder for me every time. Like, I played a show a couple of weeks ago, and someone told me like this person was sobbing, was just like absolutely sobbing, and like this is not new to me. I'm aware that my
I make
music.
people cry everywhere I go.
I'm very much aware that I make people cry for a living. But like I don't know. I like maybe that person has been through something, and until that moment when I was singing whatever song, they weren't able to process whatever they were going through. And like maybe that started something for them. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like a little reminder for me, because there's times when I'm in a space and in a low, and I'm like, I don't know if I should be doing this. But it's also, yeah, it's
I mean,
kind
I
of
think
like
that's a common thing for creative people. Like, we
exactly,
always get to that point at some point or another.
yeah, and like it's a nice reminder. Well, I don't know. It's funny because I keep saying it's nice when like people are crying, but but it is a like this reminder that you do need your lows. Your lows are valid as much as your highs.
Hmm.
Um and like you can't have one without the other.
Have you seen Inside Out?
Yes. That movie destroyed me. That movie absolutely destroyed me.
Have you seen the trailer for the new one that's coming
I
out?
did, and I absolutely sobbed. And there was nothing to sob about. It's
Anxiety's
just
moving in.
it was that movie. It's so funny because before that movie, the idea of like um, that depiction of like having your emotions as physical things in your brain, and kind
Hmm.
of like this kind of like motherboard working the mental machine that is your
Yeah,
body.
operating the console.
Yeah, it's so funny. Before that movie came out, I had always thought of my brain and my emotions and myself as that.
I similarly kind of have too, honestly. Like, the characters in my books are essentially what I've attributed to those different characters in my head.
And yeah, it was just like really, I was like in the theater watching Inside Out, and I was just like, Pixar just took everything out of my brain and then put it on this screen. And then it was also like the
How do they do
sadness.
that?
And it was just like, wait, what's happening? And then she like the main character played hockey, and I played hockey when I was a kid. And I was like, wait, what's going on here? Pixar, the algorithm's
Where
too
are the
real.
cameras?
Yeah, where are the cameras? It's the Truman Show. Yeah, no, it was very much, yeah, they really hit the nail on the head with that
Hmm.
one.
And I think it conveys a unique perspective of sadness slash empathy that a lot of people I don't think consider as why sadness might exist,
Yeah.
because it very much is how we connect with one another, and it's what bonds us together. Like, something we were talking about in the studio last week, I think, maybe. Um, we had a production assistant on in the show, and um, like, all of us have worked as production assistants, because when you start in the film industry, you pretty much have to start as a production assistant. And we were trading stories, and we realized that like all the stories that we trade almost affectionately are of like the worst experiences that we've had on set. And it's like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
yeah, man, like, we suffered together.
Mhm,
We
mhm.
understand, right? And but it's like there's definitely this like feeling of bonding and connectedness when you guys are having a good time together
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
But it's like something about it feels more powerful when you're
Yeah.
connecting over
Over
like
something
those
sad.
lows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny, like I've always, well, not always. I like a couple of years ago I came into like this realization of how like in society we always like strive towards happiness as a destination in life, and that makes no
It is
sense.
such a flawed concept.
It makes absolutely no sense to strive for this one singular emotion when
I mean,
we
I think it speaks to the fact that a lot of people also do the same for like a partner in life. Like
yeah,
they build their entire being around trying to have a partner.
yeah,
And
exactly.
like that's only going to end in a bad relationship.
Yeah, that's a whole thing in itself, which I like. I I don't know. I have my
Write
opinions on
another
that.
album about.
I could write an album about it if once I start writing. But yeah, just like this idea of striving for happiness and like happiness being a destination you get to, and how it just that idea makes no sense. You like living life trying to chase happiness will get you like it'll leave you feeling so much sadder.
There are literally dozens of movies about it, and almost every Hallmark Christmas movie has this plot.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's so true. I have not seen a Hallmark Christmas movie in a very long time, but once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. There's actually, a couple days ago when we were recording, someone had mentioned that someone had worked on like 7 Hallmark Christmas movies in a year. It was all they had done that year as an actor.
Oh,
It was just like
wow.
7 Hallmark Christmas movies.
Are they from Vancouver?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it's a local actor, yeah.
Because that's
I
Vancouver's
mean,
like
it is
the
a lot
hub.
of our actors,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like all
But
the
it's just-
Hallmark movies are filmed here.
And like probably at least 4 of them were filmed in the summer, so those people
Yeah,
had to
exactly.
wear parkas in like 30-degree heat.
They're out in Langley
Yeah.
in a parka.
It's either Langley, Squamish, or Tsawwassen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about, you mentioned that you haven't written in a year.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's definitely something that I contend with a lot too when I'm writing in my books is you go through long periods of just like not being inspired to like make your art. I would love to hear your take on that. Like, do you get inspiration and then just like an album comes out, or do you typically have like a more consistent run and then something happened and it fell off, or like something good happened and you got distracted, or like
Usually, I don't know. Usually I'm pretty consistent. And like my consistency is, I don't know, I don't know, maybe other people write more or less than I do, but it's usually consistent. But like over this past year, and maybe it's because I've been working towards this album and releasing the album.
I mean,
and,
yeah,
like,
that is a big like. And I've actually in a similar place with my current book. Like instead of writing the sequel, I've gone back to another editing pass of the finished manuscript because I've started working with an editor. So there's like now actually like a time,
like a timeline.
yeah, some kind of timeline, and like now another person is involved. So like I
Okay,
feel
yeah.
accountable to continue working on it more.
Right.
Whereas like I would normally just like pick up the sequel and start writing into it, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, and like I don't know, it's funny because like I will usually when I'm writing they just come out and like I always have like this fear of like what if I've written my best song already? Like it always happens, or like right now I'm in this weird state where like I know it's not true, but it kind of feels, because it's been such a long time since I've written something, that I'm out of songs. Like I've reached the water hole is dry. Which I know factually, I know that that's not true, but it just feels like it because
Right.
I don't have anything to show for it at the moment. But that's not to say like I have like this note or like this note thing on my phone of like all these ideas and lyrics and things for songs that I refer back to if I want to write. And like as of recently, I hadn't touched that for a very long time. But recently I've actually like started writing things. Like I think I wrote something even yesterday.
So the engine is spooling up
So
again.
yeah, like it's slowly coming back. Like wait. Oh, here. this happened. What day is it today?
16th? No, 14th?
Is today the 14th? Okay, cool. I wrote something down today.
Awesome.
Yeah, no. And the fact that I'm like, even just those random ideas
That
are
it's
popping
coming
up.
to your head again?
Yeah, it's like, oh, confirmation. Okay, something's coming. And yeah, I don't know. It just gets so scared. Like every lull that I have, maybe it's the anxiety, but I always get that fear. Or maybe it's just being an artist, because like all
I mean, I
artists.
think there is, yeah, definitely, like, what would you attribute it to? Like, is it of showing your work to other people, or is it like of, I don't know, like, I don't know where it comes from, but there is definitely something that nags at me in that area too.
Interesting. Cause like, do you do you show your work a lot, like to other people? Do you share it?
I've had, I passed the first version of my book out to probably about 10 friends as alpha readers. Three of them finished it all the way through.
Hmm.
Maybe like another three of them got partway through and then didn't finish it. But I, the feedback from them was less useful than a feedback from an editor, just because like they're not used to giving feedback to an author, kind of thing. But
Hmm.
like in some ways, I was not remotely scared at all, and I was like, yeah, no, like I wrote it, it's done. I like, even if I don't plan on publishing it, like I want to know what other people think of it so
Hmm.
I can like make it what I want it to be, kind of thing, right? Like I want to know if it delivers in the way that I intended it to deliver.
Hmm.
Um, but then I think probably what it was that triggered it for me the most was that like so many of my friends were like, "Oh, cool, you wrote a book. I want to read it."
Hmm.
And then I passed it out to them. I had only asked, I think, three of them personally to give me feedback on it, and like a bunch of them just like asked for it, and wanted to read it. But then none of them like finished it and gave it back to me, except for the ones that I had asked.
Yeah.
So that felt a little discouraging that like the other ones didn't, maybe.
Mm.
But like, the counter argument to that is that most of those people, like the three that I asked, were people that I know read a lot of books and
Okay.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
would finish it. Whereas like most of the other ones, they do read, but like not as proficient or not
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
prolifically, kind of thing.
Do you feel like as a creator, do you feel like you get satisfaction from the finishing of a book, or the sharing, just sharing with anyone, or the like the response from people who have read your book,
Uh, Honestly, my satisfaction came from writing it.
right?
I couldn't care less what people thought of it after they read it for the most part. I mean, like, I care in as much as, like I said, that like I want to make sure that it delivers in the way that I intended it to
Hmm.
deliver, that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
characters come off the way that I wanted them to. But yeah, I started writing it during quarantine,
Hmm.
and it really was like the therapy that got me through quarantine, especially because I was going through a really bad, or like had just ended a very bad relationship 2 weeks before quarantine, and then got locked in this house with five people for uh,
Oh.
like 6 months or
Yeah.
whatever it was. And like we were fortunate to have enough space that we can kind of spread out and
Hmm.
not be in each other's hair all the time. But also, one of my roommates, his girlfriend was here like every day. And like four people is enough to spread out in this house,
Yeah.
five is too many. And then it becomes difficult to not be in someone else's space.
Yeah.
And so I would just spend a lot of time like walking around Port Moody, and then I come back, lay on the hammock, and write on the
Oh,
deck.
okay, cool.
And it just like it brought me peace, it brought me joy. It like I learned tons of things from just like researching random things that I
Yeah.
wanted to put into it, and learned tons of things about myself.
Yeah.
And every time I have done an editing pass to read it afterwards, I've learned something new about myself.
That's really cool. I like I feel like that should be a goal in itself, right? I mean, like it's
Absolutely.
like unintentional. It's not like the point of it, but it's definitely like if you want to learn about yourself, I think seeing what you create
100%.
is like
Yes.
a very easy way to do that.
That is excellent advice for everyone listening.
Yeah. I think, yeah, like me writing these songs, I think I learned so much about myself, and it's it kind of helps that these songs in itself are already very introspective. So,
Hmm.
but like, yeah, a lot of the things that I process emotionally, I don't necessarily like when I'm writing these songs, I'm not aware of what these songs are about.
I feel that. I very much feel that.
Like, I don't notice what a song is about until there has been like a good amount of time afterwards. Like even this album that I wrote, and like these songs all kind of came up, like these songs I wrote them separately. It wasn't like this cohesive thing.
Right, it wasn't intended to be a themed album.
Until I put all these songs together and I'm
And
like,
then you were like, wait.
oh, there's a whole story arc, and like there's it all is connected to each other, and it just kind of happened that way after the fact. And
I'm
yeah.
super excited to listen to it start to finish.
Oh, cool. It has a cute little intro.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that.
Can't wait to hear it.
But yeah, it's funny how like, yeah, creating and just writing and creating music has taught me so much about myself. And it continues to teach me so much about myself, and I think it's funny because like now that I'm in a space, in this like headspace where I haven't written in a year, I feel like I'm like, oh my god, I haven't written in a year. What does that mean? Like I'm like, there's got to be meaning to this. Like I'm trying, like, what if I'm not learning? Have I stunted my growth or something like that? That's
Oh,
kind of what it.
interesting perspective.
Yeah,
Okay.
it kind of feels like that. I'm like, if I haven't written anything in a year, what have I been doing in this year that has stopped me from not writing?
And how do you feel about the answer you come up with?
I haven't answered that yet.
Okay. You're making me think about it, and like, I very much like thinking back on it. It feels like that pattern exists there, where when I am doing stuff that I love, and like, admittedly, a lot of it is in the summer, and I feel supercharged by sunlight,
Mhm.
absolutely, like a lot of people do. So I'll do way more stuff, and like inspiration for my books, it comes from like reading news articles, it comes
Mhm.
from podcasts, from
Mhm.
music, like everywhere kind of thing. And I notice I do less of those in the winter when I tend to write less, and I watch more shows, which is just like mindless, numbing entertainment kind of thing.
Okay.
Um,
Mm.
and like this year, I've been trying to not fall into those like old slump patterns as much, and I'm trying to do more of the things I do in the summer to see if it like
Oh, to
changes
change
the.
it. I mean, if you want change, you got to try something new, right?
Very true. Very true.
That's advice that I need to take. That one was for myself.
That's one of my favorite things is when you say something and you realize that it was advice that you were saying
Oh
for
my gosh,
yourself.
I do that all the time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna rewatch this podcast and pick out all the things that I've said and be like, oh, this was notes for future Lila.
Fantastic. We'll have at least one viewer.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're writing music, does it like, do you write lyrics first or do you write melody first? How does that interact? I've asked
um,
so many artists and like
I
I've heard
know.
different
I
things.
always ask artists too because I love comparing. But for me, I do music first. Actually, it depends. It really depends. But most of the time, it's music first. I usually have um, like I start off with guitar because I usually write with guitar, and then I go into like a melody, and then I start singing gibberish. It goes like just gibberish to like get out a melody, and then I rhyme the gibberish with what I want to say.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
it's so weird because um there's a song I wrote. I don't actually have a title for it because it's um of the songs that I've written, it's more recent. Um, but it, it's in the chorus of the song, or the chorus, it doesn't really have a chorus, but in the chorus of the song, it mentions regret.
Mm.
And um, I don't, I don't necessarily like, or at least I try not to live life with regret. I think that it's kind of useless. It's
Mm-hmm.
a useless.
It is an anchor.
Yeah, it doesn't really inspire change. It just kind of is an anchor. It kind of is very
Mm-hmm.
stagnant. Um, and it doesn't really lead to anything, regret. But in this song, I use the word regret a lot, and I don't think I
Do you
necessarily.
regret that choice?
I don't regret the choice, but it's funny because like when I wrote the song, the reason why I use the word regret is because at the time I was also trying to write an email, and I had to write, "I regret to inform you," and that the I don't know, just like that phrase got stuck in my head, and it fit really well with that chorus that I was singing. And then I was like, for the longest time, because I didn't actually have any words, I just wrote like what I was singing. I regret to inform you in this song, and then I was like, oh no, I need to change it, and so I changed it to.
Do you have a roommate where they like, what the fuck is she saying?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I do. They're probably like, who do we live with? Why is she crying all the time? No, but I wrote, instead of "I regret to inform you," I the lyric is, "I regret that I told you,"
Mm.
and I don't actually feel that way. But also, I think it's funny because like I don't feel like that right now, but maybe I did when I was writing that song.
Mm.
And if I did then, I feel like I need to give myself a little bit of grace. Because, like, if you
Mhm.
regretted something for a moment, you regretted something for a moment. That's okay. Do you regret it now? No, not so much. But maybe in that moment, I just needed to feel that little bit of like, maybe I did regret it a little. And then maybe that kind of, I don't know, helped me move on, just to kind of get that off my chest.
Yeah. I mean, we can't control, like, when we get blasted by an impulse emotion or feeling, like, we don't get to control that we had it, right? We just get to
Exactly.
control what we do with it afterwards.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But I don't even remember what we were talking. Oh, we were talking about how I write my songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Typically
one
melody
way.
first.
Yeah, I lyrics first. Or no, music first, melody, and then lyrics.
So how does that work with your list of lyrics that you randomly jot down? You just
Um
sometimes pick one out of it and then
exactly.
slide it in?
Sometimes I'll pick one out, or sometimes I had for the longest time, and I think I've had this one phrase for, I had it since 2015, and I finally used it. And I remember I really wanted to use it in a song, and I would write a song just trying to fit this phrase or this lyric into it, but it just never worked for the longest time. And then finally, Alexithymia, that's actually the song, funny, um, that it just fit in perfectly. It just like fit in perfectly. I didn't need to
What's the
like
lyric?
um run your fingers through my soul.
You know what? Matthias, I remember after Van's concert, Matthias had mentioned that he really liked that lyric and he had talked to you about it and you were like, "Yeah, I've been sitting on that for like 10 years."
Yeah. Yeah, and it finally, like, I was so happy when I did it. I was like, "Oh my god, I finally got it out." Maybe it just needed 10 years. And
And there's some evidence that this year of not writing doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because the notes you have on your phone could be songs 10 years from now.
exactly. That's so true. That's so true. I always like I see this podcast is actually for future me. It really is. It's just a reminder of that this year of lull is for a reason, and I don't know, I'll learn something from it.
I don't think there's any artist that like puts out content year after year after
That's so
year
true.
repeatedly. Like even if you do like a solid 5-year stretch where you have your type of content or art out like very regularly, at some point you need a break.
You're gonna need a break, yeah. I just like I think as an artist, it feels like any I think specifically as an independent artist that's not as well known as other bigger artists,
Mhm.
I feel like having a lull is a detriment.
Mm,
Like you're
the come
not
up does require a lot of
exactly,
hustle.
exactly. It's like you're not doing enough work. Like
I feel that all the
you
time
haven't
with this.
worked like you haven't worked enough or hard enough at this. Like this is not necessarily true, but it feels like I haven't worked hard enough to be in a position where I can take a year off of writing, which scares me so bad.
Yeah.
And I know that's not true, and I know that doesn't it's not even like it wouldn't even make sense even if I did take a year off. Like that actually might be a good thing for my art. I just don't know it yet, but it all comes back to the what is it? Grind and hustle culture
Oh God,
of
yes.
life and humanity, and how we always need to be putting out content
The
or art
destruction
and
culture that has been eating away at society for the last 20
yeah,
years.
exactly. Exactly. It is destruction. It's I don't know, where you know when you work a farm too hard and then it can't produce any fruit?
Hmm.
That's exactly what it is.
That is, I love that analogy. That is beautiful.
I just came up with that. I'm so proud. Thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, it's coming back.
I think like there's something very powerful in taking breaks because when you are bashing your head against a problem or like a project, like whether it's going well or not going well, if it's the only thing that you're seeing and the only thing that you're focused on for a
Yeah,
long time, like you start to become blind to other areas of life, to
exactly.
like even other aspects of that project. And that can be incredibly detrimental both for the project and for your mental health.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, you're it's kind of throwing blinders on,
Hmm.
and I don't think blinders are good for anyone.
No, blinders are running away, and running away is almost as bad as repressing your emotions.
Oh, I'm good at both of those things. Oh man. I'm working on it.
Everyone's got their own journey.
Yeah.
Um, so when you like, I guess you said you haven't really answered it, but what do you fill the time with when you're not writing music? If it usually takes up so much of your time.
With other creative things, I guess. So actually, what have I been filling my time with? Other creative so like it's funny, I'll go back to like making clothes again
Actually,
or
that is. Do you think going back to a point where you make clothes for like 6 months will trigger you back into the mental state where you were in school, where you just like wrote music because you didn't want to make clothes?
honestly, I think I run in like this weird cycle rotation of like these like hyperfixations that I have.
Mm,
Like
ADHD
oh
hyperfocus.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh for sure.
So
Like
Adam's show on this is called The Deficit, and it's
ha,
a
that's
play on
perfect.
his late ADHD diagnosis, which everyone he's had on his show so far, when he says that, they're like, "Oh yeah, me too." And like definitely, I was diagnosed last year too. Pretty much every one of my friends was diagnosed like within 6 months of me getting diagnosed.
That's so funny.
Um, where was I going with that? I had a point when you had said that. Oh yeah,
Oh, yes, hyper.
he's doing a segment of his show called Hyperfocus where he'll go. He actually recorded one this past Monday where he went to a gym and did like a 3-hour session with the owner of the gym to like kind of advertise exactly the kind of routine that he. So essentially, you go to the gym
Mhm.
and then they make you a personal routine for. Um, like it's a multifaceted routine
Mhm.
and kind of MMA based, I think. But they also like work on a nutrition plan and stuff for you.
Okay.
And yeah, they just like put him through the ringer for 3 hours. And
Oh,
so he wants to do
nice.
kind of like a sort of like a dirty jobs kind of
Oh, okay,
deal,
okay, okay.
where he goes to like different job sites or
Yeah.
different projects and then just like he'll work with them or like do their thing for a few
Oh,
hours.
that's cool. That's really cool.
He originally wanted to call it Die Trying, and then he realized that Hyperfocus was a more apt name for his branding.
That's really cool. Um,
But
but
yes,
yeah,
cycles of hyperfocus.
yeah. And it's always like the same things. Like it's always been the same things throughout my entire life. It's like music, fashion, and then what's another thing that I do? Um, roller skate.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
roller skate. But that's more of my like summer. It's not even that it's my summer. I do that kind of year round. But
Can you
in
roller skate in Vancouver in the winter?
yeah, I guess you can't really
That
do that. Well,
sounds,
there's places that you
I
can
guess,
actually go to.
indoor.
And yeah, there's
Okay.
places to skate indoor. But like in the summer, I'll be outside and doing that. But even then, like the activities like that I do and like these hobbies and hobbies, they're hobbies, but they're
Hmm.
also my art. Um, they kind of like I don't know. They always rotate. They always rotate, and
Yeah, I feel that. Mine do too.
yeah,
That was actually something that caused me, like, kind of with the ADHD for a lot of my life, caused me some amount of strife because I would think, like, I would focus on something for a while
mhm,
and then jump to something else and not finish it and then be like, I never finish these things. Like, I loved it so much, but like, I can never finish it.
yeah,
And then I have like half a dozen of these things that are like super important passion projects in my
yeah.
life, but I just like could never, I would get them to a point and then stop every single time kind of thing. Right. And um, it was last year I finally had this kind of realization that like, if to be human is to be artist, then these things are my art and it is my life's journey to make them. So there's no rush to get them done and out.
Ah, that's beautiful.
And like after switching to that kind of thinking, it like it gave me a little more comfort in like if I see this instead of 6 individual projects,
Yeah,
they are a single project that is my magnum opus,
yeah.
then it can take me my lifetime to produce it. And if I take my time and do it properly and slowly, then it will be perfect regardless of when I finish it.
That's beautiful. That's a really good mindset to have. It puts so much less pressure on
So much less pressure.
I don't like the way I said that. So much less that's a weird sentence. So much
So
less
much less pressure.
that's much I don't know. Anyways, yeah, no, yeah, I really like the way that like perspective cuz yeah, it takes the pressure off of having to produce things in a certain time limit.
Hmm.
And I'm not good with time limits.
Oh, dude, I'm terrible. I mean, everyone we've talked to that has ADHD has said a similar thing, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
and time, I think, is a prison that humans have made for
Oh
ourselves.
god, yes it is. And yeah, no, I'm not it's funny cuz I'm not I'm so bad with time, but also because I'm so bad with time, I'm very hyper aware of it. So I'll end up showing up to things too early, like today.
Oh, no, that's fine. You weren't that early.
um, but I
It's
guess
better to be early
I
than
was gonna
to be
say, out of
late.
all the things, I'm lucky that I got stuck with the one thing that makes me early to
Yeah, because I
things.
usually don't pay attention to time and it makes me late to things.
Oh my
So
gosh, I
I'm
can't
the
be late.
opposite.
I've actively tried to be late for things, and I end up still being early, so then I have to waste time. It's the worst, and then I have
That
to
is
waste
a
time.
remarkable, that's like one of those things, like a minute superpower or like mundane superpower kind of thing.
I have my mundane superpower is being early to things when I don't want to be. And then when I'm late for things, like I'm not actually late. I'm just on time, which for me is late because I'm not early. And yeah, it's annoying. Mundane I actually have what's my mundane superpower? It's a weird one. It's not that weird. Oh, it's kind of weird. So I can tell when an actor has an accent.
Okay,
So
like every time?
if there's, say there's a movie and they're supposed to be American,
Mhm.
I can tell when they're like, I'm like, no, that's a British actor.
And is this even if you don't originally know that
Yes,
they're okay?
it's specifically when I don't know the actor. I'm like,
Hmm.
this actor has an accent.
So you have a sixth sense.
I have a sixth sense for accents. Now, can I do accents? No. No, not at all.
Actually, on that note, like, did you take any vocal training for your singing? Because it requires a lot of voice modulation.
Um, yes and no. Nothing consistent though. So like I started singing when I was a child.
Mm.
Like it's funny like hyperfixations and whatnot, but I think singing for me was kind of also like a vocal stim. Like
Okay, yeah,
I just sang because noise. I just liked
fair.
like it was just like a stim. So I think just over the years of singing, I eventually like and it's funny cuz like I remember a point in time where I was bad at singing and I knew that I was bad at singing cuz
That's where I am right now.
cuz like I would record myself and I'm like this sounds bad. This is not good. Um and then eventually just even though I knew I was bad, I would still sing because it was a
I mean,
vocal
it's a
stim.
training thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
you just have to practice.
And I remember the day that I knew how to sing. I was in math class in grade 8.
And you just stood up and you're like, whole new world.
No, well actually yeah. It was something similar. I was in
Like a
math
scene
class.
from High School Musical.
High School Musical came out a year before that. Oh no, it was 2 years before that.
Okay.
I was in math class. My friend who was it? Miriam. We were joking about something and I think it might have actually been a High School Musical song too. Now that I think about it, it was like some Disney Channel song, and I was singing it in class because we had like it was like do your own work time, and we were joking around, and then I just like sang something, and then I looked at her and she looked at me, and we were like, "Was that good? Am I a singer now?" And yeah, like I just like I knew I was like, oh wait, I can sing now. And then I just never stopped. And like after that, I remember I think it was maybe a year after I did like a bit of vocal training, but then I didn't stick to it because ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then I just sang. I just always sang. I just always sing like when I'm walking down the street.
Birds chirping in the background.
See, like I wish it was like that aesthetic. It's not. It's like me walking up a hill huffing and puffing and trying to sing. And then there's like a person behind me. And I'm like, "Oh man." And I have my headphones in, so like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I don't know there's a person and then they walk past me and I'm like, "Oh great, this person just can hear me singing." Which I mean,
That's fine. You got a great voice.
yeah, I was like now that's I don't have the worst voice.
No,
But
she's fibbing. Her voice is beautiful. You'll hear it soon. Before we wrap up, I wanted to, like, kind of on this note, it's like the last thing I have in my head before we move on to the set is related, which is why I wanted to touch on it. Because I remember you telling me that you kind of forced yourself to just do, like, every stand-up mic night that you could at some point, right, to practice? Could you, like, how did that, like, what was the motivation to do that? And, like, what did you notice the result being positive or negative? How did that go for you?
It's funny because so in I think it was either 2015 or 2016, um, I had like this backlog of these songs that I've written and nothing to do. Like I was like, I need to do something with this or nothing. This is also I think a year after I had just dropped out of design school.
Mm.
So, and within that year of like, so I had the year of design school, dropped out, but also creating music within that year. And then a year after where I was just creating music and just trying to like figure out what I need, like what I wanted to do with my life and like what am I going to do now that I dropped out of school? Like I need to do something. And so I was like, I actually need to start sharing my music. So I was like, also like, there's many ways you can share your music. Like I could have like done the whole YouTube route and share my songs online, but I don't know. I feel like I remember I've always been scared of sharing my music online, because
More scared than sharing it to a crowd of people staring at you?
yeah, my brain works weird.
Fair. All
Like
right.
I feel like with online, the fact that because you're behind a wall, um, people's comments and
Oh,
whatnot,
yeah,
it's
definitely.
gonna be a little more brutal than what people would say to your face.
Yeah.
So
And a lot of the time for no real reason.
yeah, exactly. I think one of the first YouTube videos I ever posted, the one and only comment I got was to kill myself. I know! That was
What?
the first one.
That is so mean and rude. And
It's
like,
so
why do you even need to take the time to put that energy out in the
yeah, I
world?
know. It's really weird. But like, I don't know, the internet just having like the facelessness of it, I don't know, people really attach like they really like, I don't know, to bully people online that way.
Yeah,
It's really
it is an
weird.
unfortunate reality of the internet.
It yeah, and it's funny cuz like it happens so often, but also like the internet is there's just the big duality to it. But
Kind of like people.
exactly. Exactly. But I decided that I was going to go to an open mic because um this is now the second year that I've lived in Vancouver. I at this point haven't really like I haven't really kind of like explored the city myself, if that makes sense. Like I haven't really got out into the city. I don't think I've made many friends, if at all any, at this point. When
Vancouver is a hard place to make
exactly,
friends in.
it was very like it's always hard in Vancouver to make friends, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to this open mic and see what happens. So um, I go to this open mic with my god sister, and I didn't bring my guitar. I just went to this open mic to watch, just to like see what like feel the like
And then you
test the
stole the
waters.
show.
No, I did not, because I didn't play.
Okay.
I didn't play. I just went there to watch, and I was like, I just kind of wanted to see like if I could do it, like if this is
Mm-hmm.
something that I could actually do. It's like I think basically I was going to see if I was good enough to
Okay.
to to play an open mic. And so the week after that, I went back and I went back alone, and then I played this open mic, and it was the first open mic I ever played. And this guy, after I played, it went well. It went really well. And this guy, his name's Jeff. I don't remember his last name, but Jeff, he was the first person. He's like, wow, you're really good. You need to play more. And I was like, oh, wow, thank you. And he's like, no, you're really good. You need to play more. I'm going to put you in touch with somebody else.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he puts me in touch with, um, oh, I can't remember her name, but she ran this series called Indie Van City, where they do like pop up open mic shows around different venues.
Okay.
And then he's like, you need to play at one of these. So then he put me in touch with her. And then from my first open mic, I played like, I think the month after I played like my first real show at Studio Bar on Granville or something like that, or Studio something. And everything just kind of snowballed from there. And then like, because like this was also just my first open mic and I hadn't performed much on stage, I like forced myself to go to open mics every week. And I would do
No small feat for an introvert.
yeah, I know. Like I really pushed myself cuz like the stage fright that I had was like it was really bad.
I can imagine. I like with that entrepreneurship thing in university, I had to do a bunch of presentations in front of big crowds of
Oh
people,
my
like
gosh.
200 people kind of thing. And like I put myself through it kind of on purpose because I wanted to get better at public speaking, but it made me so nervous.
It was it's funny. I think that's like where I like and to this day I still get stage fright. But my stage fright kind of shows itself differently than most. I get like nervous right after I play. So
Interesting.
yeah, I'll play like right before I play, like all the symptoms of nerves I get, but I get it as soon as I finish that last song, that's when all the symptoms hit me. So I'll start like shaking and like
It seems more efficient than
It's-
before.
it's so much more like, and I think because I think I trained myself to do that with these open mics. Like I like knowing you're up next
hmm
and like knowing where you like all that kind of, it was training for my stage fright to manifest after I play, which is really really convenient for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like every week without fail for like 2 years I would go to the Trees open mic on Granville and I would play. And then there was like other open mics that came up. There was an open mic at Cardam's Donuts on Main Street.
Cardam's those open mics.
Yeah.
What?
Well, they did. Oh, I miss those open mics. They were the greatest. And those were every 2 weeks. So I would do like once a week and then some weeks I would do twice a week. Just practicing performing.
Right.
Yeah.
Let that be inspiration for any of you who are scared to share your music or your art.
Yeah, just go out there. And it's so funny because like I get annoyed when people are like, just do it. Right? Just do it. But also like
They
I'm
throw
literally
out the Shia LaBeouf flex.
yeah, exactly. Do it. Just do it. I'm literally like the poster child for like just going out and doing it. And like I'm the biggest introvert.
Hear that,
too.
Nike? You got a sponsor right here.
Exactly. Yeah, and then I just went to open mics, played shows, and then yeah, now I make music. I play music all the time now.
And you are soon going to be Nike's new poster
And
child for
yeah,
musical.
Nike
'cause
sponsor me.
they're definitely going to get into music athletic wear.
Oh my god,
whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever that is. I'll have to design it, I guess.
Yeah, pants that allow Mick Jagger to do the splits on stage,
Oh, yeah, there you go.
but still be kind of leathery.
Yeah. So like pleather,
Yeah,
but like not pleather. 'Cause
but spandex leather.
yeah,
Spleather.
I think we're on to something.
On that note, I think we're gonna wrap it up today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank
This
you
was
for
a
having
super
me.
fun conversation. Would you like to give a shout out to anyone or yourself, or where can people find you and your music?
You can find me on Instagram at silentsaint.j. And yeah, my music is Silent Saint J on all the streaming platforms. And yeah, I guess check out my album that I have out. It's called Alexithymia. And yeah, thank you for having me.
And now we're gonna get to hear some of her songs. Stay tuned. If you've made it this far, I hope you're ready to feel something. Grab some tissue, get comfy, take a deep breath, and open your ears. Silent Saint J is going to help you embrace those feelings you've been holding in with a brand new Untitled track.
Pick up all my broken pieces and all the ones I've left behind. Maybe I'll pick apart all of the reasons, and I'll question all my ways. I can't get over burning bridges, not even with all the rivers I have cried. They always lead to empty riddles, filled with answers I can't find. Oh, I regret that I told you. Oh, I regret that I told you. I've always been one to wander, and I wonder why I always leave. I've been searching for a shoulder, a place to put my heart upon a sleeve. So I waited till I was older. I waited till I was wise enough to heed. But now my heart's a dying soldier, wounded from a war I wasn't meant to win. Ooh, I regret that I told you. Ooh, I regret that I told you. Oh, I regret that I showed you. Ooh, I regret that I showed you me. Regret that I showed you me. Regret that I let you in. I let